Welcome back to Eating Elephants. It's your host Copeland here. It's episode 3. For 3 weeks, y'all have tuned in. Y'all showed me support. You've came to my Facebook, my Instagram, my Twitter, with your comments and concerns. And, I appreciate you for that. We got a special episode coming in today. We actually have a guest. Our guest is MVP, a.k.a. Vyonne Payne, and Serenity Speaks. Both of these two ladies are activists, but they're much more than activists. I think MVP is moving into the full-time activist zone. And, we have a really in-depth conversation about how she preps and some background. And, leading into this thing, it really got me thinking about how art imitates life. And I had a crazy instance in my own personal life while editing this pod. Quickly, I had a run-in with law enforcement. Not my first, not in my whole life, but it's been a very long time. I had a very negative interaction with law enforcement. And I'm going to break it down to you. What happened? I had a plug catch on fire in my basement. Called the fire department, and the police responded. The police, I live in a smaller suburban town. Sometimes the police are a little bit quicker than fire. They got here. I let them in. They inspected what they were supposed to inspect. And by they, I mean the fire department and the police department. And, as one of the officers was leaving my house, he looked back at me and he said, "That's your warning." And I was like, "That's my warning? I'm a law-abiding citizen. I have no, I have nothing going on to where I need a warning." And, that was a Thursday night. The next night, this same officer comes back to my house. And he came back to my house to arrest me for a traffic warrant. Listen, y'all, this traffic warrant is a $40 ticket. It's improper registration. To be honest, I can't remember when I got this ticket. I know what car I got it on because I lived in New York City last year. And a car that I was driving, wasn't quite registered yet. I had just purchased it. I rode around on a temp tag in New York. And when I got here, I still rode on that same temp tag for a while. So I'm sure that's where it came from. But long story short, this is a $40 ticket. This is something that a bail bondsman would not come and get you for. This was a Friday night. Here I am at 8:30 with this officer at my house, being aggressive, ready to take me to jail for a $40 ticket. And, he did. He succeeded in that. Friday night, I ended up, bonding out, of course, within about 4 hours. It takes a little time. Missing an appointment the next morning. But that happened to me. And it made me think, even as a rapper, as all of these different things that you do in art, the things you portray sometimes can be the energy that comes right back to you. You don't want that to happen, right? I think for many people, I'm going to pick on gangster rappers here, when they get those things that happen to them that they've spoke on, they speak them into existence or manifesting those things, if you like. For me, that wasn't really the case. And, this officer decided during, checking the safety of my home that it was okay to return for a petty warrant. And it really made me think. And I was thinking, and I was very upset about it. And a few days later, Tyree Nichols happened in Memphis. And it kind of jogged my thoughts even more. I'm editing a pod on activism, and these things happen to me. These things happen in the news before this particular interview was shot. And with Tyree Nichols, if you don't know, he's a black man in Memphis, beat to death by 5 other black men who are cops. And the the wildest thing for me in particular, especially with law enforcement, is just going to be the thought of racism. Oftentimes we say, or not we say, but society, maybe even I'll go as far as to say urban culture, gives cops the label of racist. Being a racist is something that I think as a culture we've got to take out of our conversation. Being a racist is giving some of these dudes too much credit. Being a racist lends to the fact that you have a certain power or discernment over my life, and the decisions that you make may affect, how I feed my family, or the roads I can travel, or the buildings I can occupy, or the neighborhoods that I can buy a home in. Racism stems from systematic racism, which basically means the system is designed for a certain group of people to fail, right? Or maybe even prosper. But the cards are loaded, the dice are loaded, so to speak. The fix is in, whatever you may say, and that lends to saying that these people have control over your life, and it's in reality they don't. In reality, they barely have control, probably over their own lives. And one of their biggest flexes, or one of their biggest ways of being able to kind of get back at that, is through their job. Now, these guys in Memphis, they are what I call bad cops. They have many different dings on them for being bad cops. 4 of the 5 guys have previous incidents on their record. I wouldn't say that would lead me to think that they were going to kill a guy by stomping him to death. But there were things like one of the officers, he was just careless. He was a careless officer. He was doing things like domestic violence call, show up to domestic violence call, don't report it, because he felt as if it was within retaliation. I think that's an example of him believing he was above the law, one of those officers. Same officer also got wrote up for not properly inspecting his patrol car. Next day, a revolver was found in the back seat after transporting a couple suspects, got suspended for that. Another gentleman dislocated a lady's shoulder, putting her in handcuffs. There's all of these small things that lead you to say that maybe this group of officers don't need to work together. Maybe they need to be re-educated and even maybe even disciplined a little stricter. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not a person who believes that the government's got a special room full of guys who set up these things to happen. But I am a person who believes that oftentimes with these things that should be obvious, someone along the way knew this would happen, and maybe they did not step in. I believe that about many big conspiracies in American history. I don't think that the government did these things. I think that they didn't stop these things, and that is just as bad. Many of these, cops, I think, who or even people who work in certain fields deem themselves to be racist, and they're not. They just haven't got that power. They just haven't been successful enough to maintain that status. These are people I call bigots. They just don't like you for basic reasons: color of your skin, your religion, maybe where you live, maybe your dialect. They can be this. It could be a black person who is a bigot against black person. It could be a white person who is a bigot against white people. That term fits more people. I truly believe one of the biggest things is the gray area. We don't, as a culture, like to discuss the gray area. Simply because the gray area is where many people lose and many people win. In law enforcement, unfortunately, it seems as if the gray area of law enforcement is infringing on people's rights and possibly even hurting them for no reason. And I say that to say because these things have gone on for hundreds of years with no avail. These things haven't been cornered off. I don't know if you guys have ever been a bill collector out there. I know I have a strong sales base. A lot of us were a bill collector at one time. And if you were ever a bill collector, you can darn near tell people you're going to sue them. You're going to have the police come to their house. Bill collectors say some crazy things. And it's not because the company doesn't know. It's because that's what gets the job done, in their opinion. People live in these gray areas because they some kind of way have fooled themselves into thinking that's what gets the job done. I just want to be the first person to tell you, love your craft, love your job, respect your job, learn as much as you can about it, or get out of there. Invest some time into what you do, especially if you're a police officer, especially if your job is protecting and serving other people. There ain't no other way. Sleeping through sunny days. As it rains, humidifying my... As a culture, we've got some work to do. We've got some people to pull up, right?
True.
And that's what you're really about.
True.
Like, do not more than, I would say community activism, but that's what you consider yourself, right? A community activist?
Yes, a community activist and a community organizer with Real Justice Network. That is one of my many hats that I wear depending on the day, depending on the time.
Where's that at? Real Justice Network?
They are located in Kansas City, Missouri.
Kansas City, in the heart of the Midwest, for sure.
Yeah.
And so what is your version of activism? We say, we got help. We need help. But what are the things that, the justice does?
I
Not
feel
just
like
a Facebook activist, right?
No, that's funny. That brings to mind a time where I was on live when we were actually in Minneapolis for George Floyd, and I was in the Target. The both of us. We were in the Target that it got burned down, and some punk ass dude comes in my comment section and he's like, "Are you? Why you there? You just there for clout?" And I'm just like, "Sir."
Somebody who actually did not. He
ain't wrote a sign.
Yeah. Right.
Ain't wrote a sign in his living room. But you gonna tell me what I'm doing and why I'm there, why I'm in the heart of Minneapolis? We were there the night the curfew got instructed, and that shit was wild.
What you mean? What you mean the curfew got instructed?
In Minneapolis for George Floyd.
What happened?
After the rioting / protests were getting out of control, they had pretty much shut the city down. After 8 p.m., all residents had to be inside.
So then that spawned, what was the next step?
The next,
us being in the basement.
Shit, me getting a whole lot closer to my ancestors and some Underground Railroad shit than I ever would have thought I was going to say in 2020. Both of us
in the basement.
So we
they were shooting.
got
What pushed y'all to the basement? At all places that was oh shit, they ride and hit the basement.
We end up not being able to leave because there are militia men, non-uniformed white males standing on tops of buildings with rifles.
But there was a girl that literally walked, as we were walking toward the car, that walked up to us and said, "Don't go that way, because if you do, you might get shot." I was like,
so at the aftermath, was anybody actually shot by those people? Was it dead people from them? Was it
there was a lot of things going on that
was happening at that moment.
But, yeah,
we were trying
I remember the girl saying
make sure
KKK.
We wasn't one of the people that got shot, but it was quite a dangerous situation, and yeah.
So how long were y'all actually in? So y'all go to the basement. It's a whole riot, and then y'all just kind of spend the rest of the night kind of like a tornado in the Midwest. Was it reminiscent? You said you got closer to your ancestors. Was it noise kind of?
Well, here's the thing. So we weren't able to get to our car to leave and adhere to the curfew. And because we can't get to the car, that means we can't get inside. We can't get to safety. So we are stuck outside in Minneapolis during the George Floyd thing. And we are unable to get to safety. Yeah, we're literally trying to travail the terrain of this neighborhood that fortunately there are people who sincerely are about activism and knew how to set up blockades so people couldn't the police cars couldn't come down their streets. And so we turned down a block and we're hearing people marching down the street and they're chanting epithets, and it's okay, what the fuck is going on here? And they're hey, come with us. And so mind you, this is during the time of COVID and lockdowns. So these people were
a few months in,
hey, you can come and be in our basement because it was dangerous and we didn't have anywhere else to go.
That's crazy. And I know that was around the
But for clout. For clout.
I know that was around the same time that in Buffalo, New York, the people was injured by a car hitting that line of police.
Yeah, that was around that same
So
time.
a lot of things I know was going on. People getting shot in St. Louis.
We were in Ferguson.
But to go to the that would have been the epicenter.
So y'all was like
it was at the epicenter.
Y'all was like Thelma and Louise of the protest game. So
yeah, we did go to Ferguson together too.
We were in Ferguson. Yep, for Mike Brown.
So let me ask you this: what was y'all's first trip?
It was Ferguson. Yeah,
Ferguson. Yeah.
So whose idea was it?
Mike Brown. When he passed.
It was kind of like a collision of idea. Decision. Like we should go.
So do y'all go solo with y'all two, or just a couple fellas with y'all?
No, we were.
Ronaldo was supposed to go with us. To
Ferguson, so like there are people who be like, oh yeah,
Ronaldo, why you didn't go, bro?
We
gonna
go.
Yeah,
I want to go.
And then it's time to go.
And so basically people kind of, they don't keep the same energy when it's time to ride.
Right. Yeah. When it's time to really go out and do the stuff.
When it's time to
we be like, okay, let's go. Because we used to have, I came across my gloves the other day.
Y'all some gangsters.
Remember the...
Because that's what gangsters do, right? They're like, we're going to find where the opposition is, and we about to pull up.
And pop up.
Y'all didn't think we was going to be here, did y'all? Well, guess what? Here we are with a backpack full of,
with an actual kid.
So let's talk about this, and this is huge, and I don't want to sound like somebody y'all don't like in this world, but y'all was at these protests, and you always hear the people say, or not the people, but right-wing people say Antifa is fake. That y'all show up to these places and it's piles of bricks there, and nobody knows how the piles of bricks got there, and random people just pick up the bricks because they found the bricks there, like a secret people want to help the protesters aggravate or make it seem like the protests are violent when they're really not, by adding the fuel to the fire, providing the things that are needed to cause what we perceive as a riot, right? Or is that fake news?
I feel like there are people who come to incite riotous actions. I feel like there are people who take advantage of people coming together to peacefully assemble. I had experience with that earlier this year, earlier in 2020. Lord, it is a whole new year. Happy New Year, y'all. 2023. Period. We here. We made it. I had an experience with that after the post-Roe decision. And there were people, what we came together to do was to hold space for people. It was a peaceable assemblage for people to let out their voices and to rally, but to mostly peacefully assemble. There were people that took off and started marching without any precautions. And the thing is that people don't understand, when we do these actions, they're not random. They are not random. They are planned. They are planned with the safety of everyone who attends in mind. No one is saying, oh, we gonna go to the plaza and we gonna bust the windows out, or we gonna go to the Capitol and we're gonna storm it. Oh, wait, someone is, but it's not the people who are protesters. It would be these right-wing folks that didn't, what was it?
They drop off a pile of bricks. So let me ask you directly, did y'all see a pile of bricks?
I've never seen a pile of bricks.
Did you walk past a pile of bricks, Gigi? I keep calling it Serenity. I'm sorry.
There was someone we talked to in Minneapolis that said he was a part of the protest, and then he saw different people come in that he could tell they were there just to start a mess. Yes. So that wouldn't be like the proverbial, pile of bricks, but somebody there to start mess, just to
come be an instigator of the crowd,
riot, etc. Yeah.
Yes. So if that's the question that you're asking, yes, but that is not planned.
Right.
That is not the people who are getting rallies and organizing different groups of people and doing the work on the ground. That's never the plan.
So, I'm gonna ask y'all both this question. One big thing with me is like, how do you prepare yourself spiritually for this adventure? When you say, hey, this is the thing that we feel like we want to stand up about. We're going to pop up. How do you prepare yourself the night before for that, Gigi?
I didn't have, I guess you could say I don't really have, I know when the KKK, Nazis, whatever that was, when they were there, I remember looking up and seeing the men on, like, besides Ferguson, which was later, I seen the men on the top of the roofs with the guns. Like, most people who were there, they were just protesting. They weren't really paying attention to it. But I, remember looking up and seeing, them with the guns pointed down.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I wasn't, at that moment, I wasn't thinking about it. So even going, like, the night before, I wasn't really thinking about it. I was just thinking more about, I guess you could say, justice. That could be, like, as you said, the connection with the ancestors and that feeling coming, like, I got to do something type of thing.
Yeah.
Like, maybe, like, I have those moments, like, I get so, I don't protest as much. Like, obviously, she does it more than me now because she's, professional technically now. But, I mean, I don't do it as much anymore because I would just get so mad about different things that would happen. And I had learned to use another outlet because protesting is dangerous. And you don't really think about it to where it's like your family be like, you going where? You doing what? And how they just like the fear in their voices when you say it. But for me, I'm not really scared about it. I guess maybe that's that, like, I'm not really in fear of dying
maybe
for a cause. Maybe
that's like make you a warrior, right? That's like warrior's mentality a little bit.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because, I mean, there's spiritual warfare and there's physical warfare, mental warfare, all of these different playing fields that
very real.
That wars, I guess, played and won for most. What about you, MVP? How do you prepare spiritually? The night before, you're like, packing my bags. I know you have a child, right?
Yes.
Your kid knows, like, mommy's on the way to go really be in the mix of what you see on the news.
Mm-hmm. I just get ready. You
like some prayer? Do we like an incense? Do we like reflect? Do you have like a thing you do with your family? You call? Is there somebody you call like, hey, I'm out there tomorrow. I'm just calling to say what's up, boy, before I go hit this dangerous mission.
It is just a time to go, a time to help. It is a part. So, when I say there's nothing I do to prepare, it is because when you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. I'm always walking in my spirit and in my power and in who I am. So when something makes news, or when now, as it is, I get the message to my phone that, hey, something is going on somewhere in the world, we need to pack up and go. It's time to go. There is no preparation. It's time to go because that's what I do.
It's just a calling.
Yeah, it's time to go. Like, I was in D.C. this past June.
What they have in D.C. in June?
Right before Roe got overturned.
So this was like for the Roe.
Versus Wade.
Pre-rally.
Yes, and I ended up leading a rally to the Supreme Court.
And whose rally was it? Was it a partisan rally? Was there
it was for these two organizations that we are partnered with, so Sister Song and Black Feminist Future. And they really were like, they just like, your energy, your spirit, like, and they told me like, hey, can you lead this rally? I'm like, sure. That's what I do. And next thing I know, we shutting down the street in front of the Supreme Court.
Right. And is there what I was saying, is there a partisan involved in that? Like, do they have to subscribe to a party, those groups? Are they a Democratic Party, a Republican Party, the Independent? Or is there no politics involved in that particular? It's just the issue,
The issue. It is about reproductive justice. That is the main fight that we're dealing with right now.
Perfect. And that's huge. Reproductive justice. That's like Herschel Walker. Y'all know Herschel was Wildline. That's my uncle, Uncle Herschel. Listen, when I see Uncle Herschel out there, I knew. I was like, man, them women start coming out. Some of them, they got more bolder and bolder. They was shy at first. Don't tell them who I am. Then they was like, tell them my name, but I don't want to be on camera. Then the one got on camera and said, hey, this is me. This is my name. He made me do it. I said, Herschel, you are, y'all ever heard I'm from Kansas City too, if y'all didn't know. Tech Nine got a song called Real Killer.
Okay.
You ever heard that? It's about
I heard
it low key is about abortions. Tech Nine actually made a song about how he is the real killer.
Oh, okay.
Like, you a real killer, but I killed my seed.
Wow.
You a killer.
Okay.
It's a that
hard switch.
It's a art. That's what art is made for, right? Because art is activism.
I gotta go look up the song.
Art is the real activism, in my opinion. I think people like you are on the front lines.
Yeah.
But I think the thing is to inspire those, I guess, to join the fight in their own way. Because I'm not a big proponent of throwing bricks and burning shit down and destroying other people's hard work and your own hard work and the people who feed their families to live there.
That's more the riot. That's not the protest.
But that's the stigma that it gets. Yeah. And that's why I asked the question about like the bricks. Like, you were there. And I think for a lot of people who oppose rioting, who don't necessarily fault Black people for fighting for their rights, their excuse to oppose the rioting is it's detrimental to property. It's detrimental to businesses. Speak your mind. What do you think about the business owner?
The thing about that, like, I'ma just keep it a buck. I'ma never give a fuck more of a fuck about your business than I'ma give a fuck about somebody's life.
But my thing is,
your business is or should be insured. Whatever you lose, you can get back.
True.
Somebody lose their life. Some mother loses their child. I don't give no fucks about your business. Now, that's me personally. I'm not going to go tell anybody, okay, now you need to go tear up some shit. But even as Dr. King said, riots are the language of the unheard. If you're not listening when I am standing peacefully and quietly and all I want you to do is not kill me. Not kill my Black son, my Black father, the Black men that I love. Like, if that's not worth listening to,
right?
Then fuck your business.
But what I'm saying is this:
you're not hearing me, so fuck your business.
I'm gonna offer some perception.
Okay.
On Eating Elephants, perception is everything, and we'll always have a moment of perception. And I think this is one because simply of this. Fuck your business. I agree. Something happened to me, burn down Cold Stone. Fuck it. but
burn everything. Oh my goodness.
But here's the thing.
I hope nobody ever murders me. But like, and it's like if somebody does, like they can play this like clip back. I hope nobody ever murders me. But like if they do, y'all better burn down the whole fucking everything. Everything.
I say this to say,
burn down the moon. I don't like.
Let me say it. Now, this is my perception, though. So I'm gonna go with what you said. They got insurance. Businesses have ways to make their money back.
Yeah,
and that is kind of the way the system crumples people upon itself. It's kind of like, people getting whipped in public, as they say about certain people that are in the news right now. Some of our brothers and sisters, right, that you no longer see on TV. And, the biggest thing of perception is when you close the business, when you burn down the Cold Stone gets their money back. But Tom, Jane, the people, they're not getting a check now. They have to find other means to make their money. Okay. And that is, it's like the Matrix. The Matrix is already designed to be the way it is. You know, it's designed to know the answers. It's the algorithms. It's like AI, so to speak. You know, the world works in that way, in my opinion. AI imitates human beings. We don't imitate AI, and I think in that same way, you know, checks and balances. If you know what that means in terms of politics, and one of the balances is when you burn that building down, regular people, your friends, your family, they no longer get to go to work for a few weeks, and they don't get paid for that. There's no riot insurance. You know, Tommy who needs this little job in between his college classes, that this is the only Cold Stone that can do his hours. Now he can't get that money for 2 to 3 weeks. He's the one that suffers. And that's why I say art is the biggest protest, because in what we're doing today, you sharing your stories and sharing your perspective, you know, that allows people to understand what the problems are. Right?
That's true.
But in your art grows so much further.
Yes, that's true.
So much further. Okay, this was up. Vyonne, you go to college?
I did.
Where'd you go to college? What was your degree?
Early childhood education.
Sweet.
Yes, I was a preschool teacher for a little bit.
So what happened with that? For a little bit.
No, I really enjoyed the job. I love kids, and I feel like if it were up to me, I probably would be somewhere with like 15 babies or some just maturins running around. So the best solution for me and my ovaries was to become a teacher. I was teaching at a preschool, and I was there till January 2022.
Yeah, that's okay. That's what's up. So I already know things. Just, you know, with preschool teachers, it could be rough dealing with other folks' kids, right?
No, kids are beautiful. Kids are lovely. They were the best part of the job. It was the adults that made the work hard.
So what?
I definitely feel like teaching, especially early childhood education, like that is something that you have to have a heart and a passion for, because you damn sure ain't doing it for a paycheck. Yeah, so when you have a heart and a passion for helping young minds develop, because that's essentially what you're doing in early childhood education, the kids, they're the best part.
Right, I get it. You know, I know that's really huge, and I guess in your history, like teaching kids and being a teacher, being a facilitator in that way.
8 long years, child. 8 long years.
Oh yeah, that's kind of a wild thing. So, you know, one thing that I know about both of y'all, even though we haven't really talked about, you know, they say, leave with who brought you to the dance. And you know who that is for y'all? It's poetry, right?
Yes.
Is that how y'all met? Just through poetry?
Yes. We actually met at the Chrisette Michelle show. Like,
see, I don't even remember that.
This was some years back. Like, before she was canceling everything.
I forgot about her being canceled.
Yeah,
she's still kind of. She's still struggling with her career.
I seen that she said that you know, on social media, like, it's never been the same since that happened.
Yeah,
it hasn't. She's lost a lot of money.
You know, for me, even things I've said on this pod, like you said, you gotta leave with the one that came with you. You can't turn. To a certain extent, I think sometimes we have to take a stand, when sometimes being neutral is also taking a stand.
Yeah.
It is.
It's taking your own stand. It's okay to be neutral, right? You can be a neutral. That means you mean you bitch ass motherfucker if you kind of.
That's extreme, right? That's a little extreme. But no, I don't believe in neutrality. I don't. I feel like it's. I'm black and white, like my coat, my fat.
So there's no gray area.
So
I'm a person who can find
I feel like while there may be extenuating circumstances, and you can validate or come up with logical reasonings for things, I feel like there are certain things where if it crosses a line of boundary, there is no, oh, I'm gonna just be neutral about it. Like, no, you gotta pick what it is.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Like, so for me, like, I have a very, very strong, yeah, moral compass. And so, like, and you wouldn't think that, but I really am. Like, I very much live by a code of ethics. It's certain things that you just do not do. So and one of the things is I don't believe in sitting on the fence about a motherfucker. Like, your yes is your yes and your no is your no. That's even biblical right there. So I don't believe in being neutral on things that matter, because especially when it comes to certain issues, like, if you're neutral, by and large, you're taking the way of the oppressor. The only thing evil men need to succeed is for good men to do nothing.
Right. And that kind of falls on yin and yang. It's the same principle. You just either left or right, yes or no, go or stop. And I can agree with that, because typically when you talk about the gray area, it's a taboo area. It's like, we don't really know.
Right.
Should you do this or should you not? Because most of the time when you're in the gray area, it should just kind of be a hard no, right? It's kind of a red flag.
I think the Gemini in me, because I have Gemini in my chart. I'm not a Gemini, but
your chart. What kind of charts? What kind of charts do you read? Natal charts.
Natal charts.
Natal. Hold on. What's a natal chart? What are you talking
about? Hold on. Wait. That's something about Virgo ass shit right here. Some
astrology.
Yeah, I know y'all know I'm a Virgo.
Oh, yes.
You called me a Virgo off camera about 18 times.
Yes.
I'm like
you a Virgo ass shit. Like, you just keep
it's
doing it.
It's the energy for me. She's like, some Virgo ass shit. Like you can put a lot of words. You can take a lot of the words and put Virgo out of there, like some dumbass shit or some, Virgo ass.
But that's all we know about you is the Virgo. Like, people's personality also goes into their moon sign and all other stuff too.
Okay, so for the person who doesn't know what the hell y'all is talking about, because you have a moon sign, so break it down for me.
She's the astrologist.
I know a little bit.
You know a little bit. Can you give us astrology for dummies?
Okay, so here it is. Boom. You get born into the earth. The moment of your birth takes like a snapshot of the sky and the position of the planets, the stars, and different other celestial bodies becomes the chart or makeup of what is said to determine your personality and even things larger like your destiny and your fate.
Okay. So it's based on like the sun's position and stuff when you're born. Is it so if I'm born on September 19th and a bunch of other dudes are born on September 19th on different years, do we have the same stuff?
No, because the planets are constantly moving. So even somebody being born on the same day as you would not necessarily have the same natal chart as you.
Unless they're born at the same time.
Just give us some of the more recent highlights of MVP. Because, as an activist, you're pretty active, but as a poet, they say leave with the one that brought you here, and poetry's the one, right? So,
this past year, I've only been brought out if it was something historic, pretty much. I stepped back from the scene and really try to take time to tap into who I am as an artist. And so a lot of the events that I did, like I did Poetry in the Park for National Poetry Month. I did poetry at the Hattie's house. And what the significance of that is, it is the oldest still standing home in all of Missouri. But also, it's called Hattie's house because there was a slave girl who was so beloved by the family that the master spent $1,100 by those terms to buy her freedom and allowed her to stay and live as one of the daughters.
Wow.
So, and the house and the room was preserved, and it just felt like just stepping back into history, like to just walk in and see that space where a person really lived. And a lot of times we hear about the atrocities of slavery, and so I don't even want to veer down um, that lane, but it was really heartwarming to hear a story of compassion from that time period. So I got to share poetry there. I got to perform at the 152nd anniversary for one of Kansas City's most historic Baptist churches. So I've been kind of
What
under
was that
wraps,
church?
but
What church was that?
St. James.
St. James, yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's what's up. And I love the fact that you just didn't drop all them celebrities that you meet on the trail and the ones that have been supporting you and
Yeah, she.
you met.
Yeah.
Who have you met? Because I know you've met some interesting people, like especially in your march, right? You met.
Yes, I got to meet Tatiana Ali.
Sweet.
Yes, she was very kind and very very down to earth. It's wow, so many celebrities. We met Maya before.
But she passed right before we was getting ready to go.
No, not Maya Angelou.
Oh, you talking about Maya?
The singer,
Oh, okay.
the singer.
Um,
That was
Almost
one of
almost
my
got to meet
regrets.
her.
Though, yeah, she was coming to Kansas City, and she ended up passing before her show.
Oh man, rest in peace, Maya Angelou.
Yeah.
No, you talking about Maya?
Yeah,
Silk Shocker's
yeah.
ex-girlfriend.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was that thinking of Maya. I'm thinking of poetry. So
Well, yeah.
You talking about moving on, Maya?
Yeah, that Maya.
Yes. Oh goodness, so
she was sweet.
Rhapsody.
Rhapsody. That's the bars right there. I love Rhapsody.
Yes.
I wish Rhapsody to get a little more, the conscious community to grab a hold of her a little more.
Yes.
She's been fired messing with Knife Wonder. I've been a fan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's definitely dope.
Yes, incredible artist. It was really cool. I got to have like a real human moment. I think that's kind of why I don't like really have like, oh, so I met this celebrity and I met that celebrity and yeah, I did this Rock Nation thing and I did this and I was in the Capitol and I was like it because I don't see it as that. I see it as humans doing other stuff. Yeah. And we're in the same space. So like
so you don't ever get starstruck?
I wouldn't say that. I feel like internally or like after the fact, because like I definitely after I did the Rock Nation event, I was on FaceTime with my sisters. I was like, oh my god,
okay, so hold on.
Blue Ivy Daddy, no.
Hold on. So first of all, you met Hove?
No, I didn't meet him. I did not personally.
Hey, did you see Hove?
He was not in the event. No, his people though. They needed a poet. They needed a poet, but that I needed to meet Rhapsody, and so the Rock Nation people, his legal activism team, they asked me to perform when they were.
So it was a Rock Nation event. What was that event in honor of? Like, what was it? What brought y'all there that day?
Justice for Kansas City, Kansas.
Okay, so that was so you've done a lot of local activism and national activism. Yes. That's dope. You definitely still working in your backyard. So, shout out to Rhapsody and everybody who came out.
Yeah, definitely. So it's the thing because like I could say like the pop culture names, but then it's like there are people who are like really like have been doing this. Like I got to meet the original activists who were putting their boots to the ground that got Roe versus Wade like brought in. Like that's like wow. Like these are the people who I'm like those are them. So but even in that regard, it isn't I'm going to fangirl or even like get starstruck because in the space you're a human like I'm a human. I'm a human like you're a human. Like this sitting in this room with y'all is the same as if I'm sitting down with a president or a dignitary or a congresswoman or like again these people can reach me through my phone, and it's like, okay.
No, I definitely, I definitely think so. For all the people listening, what are some causes that are on the horizon right now? What are some things that maybe the news isn't covering that you've got your eye on and you're like, this needs some attention?
Well, definitely. Um, there is still a lot that needs to be watched as far as reproductive justice work. We know that Roe versus Wade got overturned in the summer of 2022, but a lot of people aren't aware that Missouri was a trigger state, which is as soon as that decision got overturned, abortions of all kind became illegal in the state. So people here still don't have those reproductive rights. You cannot, if something happens to you cannot do what you need to do. And regardless, because it doesn't have to be a trauma story. It doesn't have to be a trauma story. It doesn't have to be, oh, something horrible happened. It could just be, I don't want to be pregnant right now. But whatever the case is, women or people who are of childbearing potential in Missouri do not have access to that reproductive health care. So the work needs to be done and it will not stop being done until citizens in Missouri have those rights back.
Understood. So I understand. So it's just more about, I think most of the time for us as seeing the ladies standing up for the men,
Mm-hmm.
in a big way. As far as even y'all two, just going out, defending me, right? Defending my essence, so to speak, of who
Yeah.
George Floyd is. And, it's really huge for women's, I guess reproductive rights. In my personal opinion, just noticing what's going on. I mean, I have two children. I've chosen to have every child that's been presented to me so far. And, it's really huge as a man. I really feel like I'm on the outside of this conversation. I am from my own child's perspective, meaning I don't personally wouldn't abort a child of my own. That's my creation. I believe, kind of from conception, you have a soul. But in the same breath, coming from, having family members that have been victims of sexual assault who, have had to have those things happen to them to not create a baby that was born out of a distasteful situation,
Mm-hmm.
uh, deserves to have that right.
Yes, absolutely.
And I feel like that's where we go wrong because it's all or nothing, right?
Right.
There's no, it's your business to a certain extent, and I'd much rather see you not have a baby than just, I don't want to say the bad things that happen with people who have children they don't want to have,
Because
but
the thing is this, right? People are so pro life and so anti abortion, but you force these people to have children that they do not want or cannot take care of, only for them to become societally aborted. Because now these children may be growing up in poverty. They may be growing up in abusive situations.
Mm-hmm.
They may be growing up with mental health or physical issues and ailments that they can or cannot, the parents don't have the tolerance to take care of and deal with. And all of this because they just had to be born. I feel like if a person has that much awareness, like, hey, I can't do this, their body, their choice. It would not be a decision that I would have thought I would have made for myself until one became medically necessary for me. I was pregnant with my second child. I ended up having an ectopic pregnancy. That's where the fetus attaches to the fallopian tube. And I was not aware of it until the tube ruptured. I actually ended up collapsing on the bathroom floor. I had to get rushed to the hospital via ambulance. And I had a near death experience on the operating table. I flatlined because when they opened me up, I had lost almost a liter of blood and it was pulling in my abdominal cavity. So when I woke up, I was no longer pregnant, but I was still here.
And I understand that's huge, and that's why I think women's choice is huge. For everybody, kind of tuning in, the social issues of today, unfortunately, are been around for many, many years, and we have yet to kind of decide as a society where we stand as a whole. These things change with the drop of a Supreme Court decision.
Right.
I was gonna say though, as a man, you can still I know some men don't necessarily want to associate with the term, but you can still be a feminist. It's basically supporting women's rights.
Yeah,
and their
equal
decisions.
So
rights.
you guys consider
Equality.
yourself feminist?
Absolutely.
I know you do.
I'm a hood feminist.
I ain't gonna front.
Period. Like, what you mean?
I know
What
you are a
mean?
feminist.
Look,
I know you is.
I'm out here in these avenues with my hair store lip gloss. Like, period. Like, what you mean? Yes.
I would say I am, but I'm gonna go with the womanist because feminist and womanist
Come on, Alice Walker.
It's the same thing. They're cousins, kind of.
You said a feminist and what?
A womanist. A womanist and feminist is.
So womanist. What is, and I'm being genuine here. What is a womanist?
A womanist is based. Alice
Walker.
Yeah,
she
Alice
coined
Walker.
the term.
Yeah. She coined the term, and it's basically it's in alignment with feminism, but it's more so you're concerned about the welfare of Black women versus the overall women. Now, I will say that I support overall rights for women, but there are some things that I would focus on or be more passionate about because as a Black woman, that's what I identify with, and we have different issues as women that we deal with than white women. So
I agree and I disagree because I think women in general are just very discriminated against through history.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the women in Iran. Is that right now? They're pulling off the hijabs and getting their necks cut off, and they're like really having a movement right now.
A lot of people don't really realize we're still actively dealing with oppression of women. Like people feel like, oh, that's not a thing anymore, and I'd be like, if depending on what country you go to, yes, it is. Like I don't, and I think in America we get so caught up in, women, we do whatever here, you know what I'm saying, but. In other countries, it's still a thing.
Yes.
Basically, what do we have to look for from MVP for 2023, 2024?
The takeover.
So what kind of projects you got in there? What you got in the kiddo for us?
So, pretty much just continuing my work with community organizing. One of the opportunities that I was really fortunate to be blessed with in 2022 was getting to be an instructor for a domestic violence and intimate partner violence fellowship, teaching survivors about healing and empowerment. So I definitely want to continue that work in 2023. I definitely got some projects, lines up there in this brain of mine. So more books and hopefully more content. But really, like I said, I just wake up and let life tell me what we gonna do that day. So I don't know. I might write a book. I might be on the other side of the world.
What's up? And that's huge because I know you're involved in so much. I know I even you told me you were involved in medical marijuana too, right? Helping.
No, not medical, baby. Recreational.
Okay, recreational.
Yes,
so that's another part of the activism, right?
Yes.
Excuse me. We didn't get to that.
Oh, okay. Yes, totally. So yeah, I helped to work via Real Justice Network with the Legal Mo campaign, which got legalized December 8th, 2022.
So a lot of them folks out there can say thanks for your contribution.
Yes, if you are a grown up and you like the devil's lettuce, you can now enjoy that with a little less
eating elephants, we call that hemp or medicine.
Yes,
medicine.
yes.
We all need a little medicine.
Yes, okay. Yes, we do. Yes. All of it. So it is now legal in Missouri. So you don't need a medical card. But also, what was really cool about this ballot initiative, aside from it being pushed by the people, um, like we went out and we gathered over 400,000 signatures when you only need 200,000 to get something on the ballot. But just so the Attorney General could play with us, like, hey,
So you've been down that path. You lost
yes.
them. So what was the situation that gave you that life experience that said, oh man, this happened to us. I'm never letting that happen again.
Well, the thing is, when you're collecting signatures, it has to be accurate. And if even one name is wrong or one address isn't their address anymore, you lose the whole ballot. Like the whole, and that's like 10 names. So off one error. So we made sure we had double the amount to.
Because they'll exclude you.
Yeah. And they really, again, Missouri's a red state. So it was a lot of pushback about getting this passed here.
It wasn't that it was going to pass. It was like getting it on the ballot was the hurdle.
Yes. So that was one of the things. Like, so we got it on the ballot where people could vote for it. And then people got to vote for it. So now medical and recreational cannabis use is legal in Missouri.
Not in Kansas, y'all. Remember that.
Not in Kansas. No,
Kansas.
baby. Ooh, no.
Don't you do it in Kansas. No.
Don't you
think about it.
No.
Only do it in Missouri. Medicine. For some people who need it, who don't want, not necessarily even looking for a buzz, but looking for alternative, medicine for inflammation and, maybe just taking a load off. I think having a libation, so nothing wrong with that for sure. During the break, y'all said y'all wanted to read my chart. So I went and grabbed that information for you and gave you the info. I was born at 9 p.m. I was born in Kansas City. They've got all that behind, so they bought my chart. So I'm gonna get a chart reading here. Are you gonna read or MVP gonna read?
Well, I mean, I can pass it to her if she wants to read
Either
it.
Or whoever's the chart reader. Read me right.
She's the actual chart reader, but I did look up your chart. Yes.
Let's get it then.
So how you want me to read it?
I know you can read it.
Okay. So your sun is in Virgo. That's a 26.
So that's my main sign, right? That's
the sign that's your sun.
That's what most people know. Their sun sign.
Virgo. Your moon is in Aries.
And your moon, that determines like your emotional nature. So like your feelings and stuff.
Yeah, my brother is in Aries, so all right, keep going.
Your Mercury is in Libra.
Mercury, that is the way you learn and how you communicate.
Okay.
Your Venus is in Scorpio.
That's love.
So you love like a Scorpio.
Love,
shout
sex,
out to my wife, y'all.
Mars is in Capricorn.
How you fight, your temper.
I got all like the worst traits for everything. Like best fighter. That's the fighter. Your best lover. There you go. All right, let's go, Copeland. What else you got?
Your Jupiter is in Pisces, and it was in retrograde when you were born.
So what is the Jupiter?
Jupiter, that is where we seek expansion. So where you can have luck about things. Just think growth when you think Jupiter. It's the biggest planet.
I'm still hitting for the top expander, right? Because I know I know a few things. Let's go.
Saturn is in Sagittarius.
Saturn, that's where you have hardships, trials, what's difficult. Or really, Saturn comes to teach you. So where you need to learn.
Then Uranus is in Sagittarius.
Fantasy.
So how does Sagittarius relate to your fantasy?
It could be your way about pursuing things, how you go about your dreams, stuff
kind of
like
your
that.
vision.
Yeah, that'd be a fair assumption to say.
Okay.
Your Neptune is in Capricorn.
I don't the fuck know, baby. I ain't
We
gonna
ran
lie.
out, y'all. She been coming with it every time. So
look, I skipped that day, honey.
Let's look up what your Neptune means. I got Google right here. So what does your Neptune house mean?
Look, that's one thing about me. I'm not ashamed to say I don't know. I don't be not the fuck knowing everything. Look,
So your Neptune's position, according to Google, is an area of life where you tend to ignore or avoid reality, preferring to see something better, higher, or more
disillusionment. Okay, Neptune.
Okay.
So which one was that for?
Capricorn. Your Neptune's in Capricorn. Then your Pluto's in Scorpio.
Do we know what Pluto is?
Secrets.
Neptune. Yeah.
So Scorpios are secretive, ain't they?
We are. Your Lilith.
Both of y'all are Scorpios.
No, I'm a
Sagittarius.
Okay, dang. So all right.
I'm like a super Sag because it's my sun, my rising, my Mercury, and then God damn it, it's
what's your
3
moon?
more.
Oh, your moon is a Virgo.
Virgo, yeah. I have 5 planets in Sagittarius, and that makes me so free.
Very Sag.
Yeah, super Sag, me. All the shits.
The Lilith is in Gemini.
Okay.
That's your dark nature.
Oh, I never knew what that. I was waiting for what that means. And your North Node is in Aries.
What is your North Node?
Your North Node is what you are trying to accomplish in this life.
Okay. And then
Which you should.
You're probably more skilled on the rest of the
and also Google says your North Node is where your soul will grow the most.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's true.
And your South Node is the opposite of that, and that's pretty much
your comfort zone.
What you need to like work,
like
what you bring from your past life, your South Node stuff. Yep, and then it's the houses. But goddamn it, if I start doing all that, I'm gonna send you invoice. So look, that break down the whole that show DNA of your soul if you believe in astrology. So
I see that on Instagram all the
time.
You
have. Does this matter when you talk about that too?
Yeah. So pretty much once you get into what your placements are and what they are as far as what your planets represent, but then the houses that they fall into. And there's 12 houses, and each house represents a different thing. Like, for instance, the first house is the house of yourself. So how you present and identify to the world. So there are a balance of the planets have different feminine or masculine meanings. So in your chart, you actually have more feminine energy. And I think that's important. That might be why you're able to relate to women very well.
That's pretty cool. All right, that's what's up. Let me tell you something about yourself. Let me ask y'all, or ask you, MVP, where can we find you on social media? What handles do you use, and where are you usually at?
Well, it's real simple, right? MVP the Great. One word. MVP THEGREAT. On all your social media.
And of course, we'll put that in there. And what about you, Serenity? Where can we find you on social media?
Serenity, and then 2 underscores and speak.
All right, well, make sure you put those 2 underscores in there.
1, 2.
Well, you know, ladies, it has been my pleasure to have y'all out on the Eating Elephants podcast. You know, as things develop, we'll definitely have you probably back out again. And, you know, I appreciate all your activism and things you've done for the community and the stand that you've taken.
It really is a pleasure. You know, in times of crisis, look for the helpers. I'm here to help.
And, you know, with that, you know, Eating Elephants, this is Copeland signing off. To the next time. Peace. Yeah, it falls into that afterwards. Yes. That glob of string right there.
Mm-hmm. That's really inventive because I just be using up all my little lighter.
Well, here's the thing. Everybody always asks me when they see me smoke with the hemp wick. Mm-hmm. And basically...
What you about to do?
See, look. Let me show you something. What? This is a lighter, and the lighter is full of butane or whatever. Mm-hmm. So when you smoking a cigarette, you inhaling butane too.
Wow.
That's a lot of people who cough a lot when they smoke. It's the irritants off the butane.
Maybe that's why I did not cough.
He Virgo went down.
Right. Look, my Virgo moon is yes.
It's a better taste too. It's a different taste. You gotta. I mean, my thing is this. You know, they say drive responsibly, adults. Well, I think adults, if you're gonna partake,
do it responsibly.
You should do it responsibly. But yes. I mean, because in the same breath, it's huge. people drink. I'm not really a drinker. It's always been
Yeah.
a thing. I did do a little smoking, and that's why I think it's huge that you were, handle medical marijuana. I mean, it's kind of I think a lot of people that been smoking a while been waiting for to be able to smoke legally. I used to get in trouble for smoking.
Right. And that's one of the other really cool things is the expungement clause. So like if people have marijuana convictions on their record, as long as it's nonviolent, that can be removed.
Right.
If someone is in jail right now for a nonviolent marijuana offense, they can start petitioning to get ready to come home. Like, so it's not just, oh, we want to get high and part. Like, no, we really are caring about the people who are affected by the unjust restrictions in our city or state.
Did you get a lot of opposition on that?
You good?
Child, we were victims of political violence.
What you mean for well, weed is money. When money's involved, the guns come out.
Remember?
Can you talk about what happened?
Oh,
I mean
probably not. I probably can't say too much, but what ended up happening was, as I mentioned earlier, I was teaching my class for intimate partner and domestic violence fellowship, and a woman came in, like she was there for the class, like sat there in a circle, went through introductions, clearly was made aware that this is a support group, but she was there to talk to my director about Amendment 2 or Amendment 3. And it was very combative energy that led to a brawl and this person receiving 6 assault charges because they didn't want people to be able to smoke legally.
The biggest thing, it's just a lot of people got stuff to gain with that, man.
Yeah, it is definitely is a money thing, and a lot of what the issue was, people were saying, well, how dare y'all go through the process, and y'all should let the legislator do it, and y'all should let, them figure it out in Jeff City. And it's like, well, if they was going to figure it out, they done had years on top of years to figure it out if they wanted to figure it out. That was not their interest. That was not in their best interest to go through that. And the people, as we showed with the 400,000 signatures, wanted this to happen in Missouri. It was time, and it happened.
I mean, for me, I grew up in Missouri, so it's just good that I just don't think people should get in trouble for smoking weed.
No, absolutely
especially
not.
when people drink. Drink champs is monetized, right? But if this was weed champs,
absolutely not.
Absolutely not. I mean,
and the crazy thing is, so one of the things that people typically aren't aware of is that cannabis is classified as the same level as meth and cocaine.
Right.
It is the same class of drug. So to the point where you can get you get caught with a blunt in your car and say it's a fat blunt, so it's like a gram in a blunt. You're in charges the same as if you got caught with a gram, a crack, a cocaine, a meth, and it's weed, it's cannabis, and so having these issues.
Yeah, you don't have to go to the whole thing. Okay. I'll accommodate. I'll be your butler.
So that was also part of the thing why getting it passed was so important.
Right.
People were seriously getting in trouble and ruining their life over something that should not have been. Especially as you said, people drink. You smoke too much, what you gonna do? Go to sleep. You drink too much, you might be busting my windows out. You finna go to jail some kind of way. I don't know. Just you gonna be in some vehicle with lights spinning around on it. if you fuck around, drink too much. Might be a cop car, might be an ambulance. But
You gonna fall asleep. That's the.
You smoke your little weed.
I mean, that's kind of the thing, and I think really with the way fentanyl is killing motherfuckers, uh, the weed is the last of our worries, because that shit is really harsh on people. It got me scared of things like edibles. At least I know like weed is weed. I can look at it, smell it, but
you know what it is.
But yeah, liquor and all that stuff, man. Like I said, if I was to smoke too much here, like if I'm driving, I'm gonna probably either chill here a little longer, let my high come down. I can eat something. You always have the option of eating something, right?
Right.
You can eat a little something, and you're good. That's really what the
help metabolize and be off fine.
I did just see a battle where the dude pulled out the papers. Did you see that?
Man, which one? Niggas get that paperwork pulled out.
Yeah, I was like, oh,
the battle that
they going personal.
You talking about Snitch Boy?
I don't know. I mean, since you said this is common, I mean, I don't know which one it was. He just pulled out one and he was talking about the dude was a snitch and his brother was a snitch and da da da. I was like, I think I would probably be fighting.
I've heard some stuff, man. I'm not even gonna repeat in some battles. Battles is wild. Here's the thing about battle rap, though. Compared to like poetry, what y'all do, it's very much the same alliteration and the same. Like you talking about, he's scheming. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, poetry gets good though.
Yeah, it do.
Yeah, I know poetry can be a wild scene.
Yeah, it can.
Like, is there any like public poetry feuds amongst like Langston Hughes, who was like his op? Did Maya Angelou like?
Did Langston Hughes have an op?
Did Maya Angelou like have words with?
Probably did. Don't.
I guess poetry's op is
I think they kept that. Like the R&B singers, who's that? Patti LaBelle, and who was the other one?
Aretha Franklin.
They was fine.
Yeah.
I mean, they supposed to.
But I mean, as far as like the literary side, I don't know.
Yes.
Y'all consider Patti LaBelle I say she is a feminist through her music.
Patti LaBelle, I wouldn't.
Like what's the like
Patty talking about the pies,
Patty Pies.
Pies, Patty. I wouldn't consider her to be a feminist.
Patty gonna bake them.
Because I've never. The only reason why I say that is because I've never known her to like. You hear artists like singers. We're talking about the singing side. You'll hear them make a stand on certain issues, or they might do a song about certain issues. Or something. But Patty, I've never heard her say nothing about nothing. So like she just sings. That's it.
I mean, Patty, that's what I'm saying. That's why you compare her. I know Aretha Franklin wrote, she was on the train.
Yeah, till I saw the movie.
Yeah.
I didn't realize because that was a little bit before.
I mean,
she was cool with Martin Luther King.
In those days, it wasn't even about being on the bus or not. You good? Being on the bus or not.
Patty being cool with Martin Luther King.
She's a little younger than Aretha.
Okay, I don't know.
And back in those days, you couldn't run from it. Like, you couldn't go move to the burbs or go.
That's true.
to a more socially accepted town. You had to deal with it every day when you went to work. You had to deal with it when you went to the store to go get the milk for your kids. It wasn't. I mean, I think for a lot of people now, victimization is huge in activism because I don't like when people victimize me. I have a choice. I have a lot of choices in life. It's nothing about my financial standing. I just have choices. I don't have to send my kid to this school. I don't. There's low income housing in every place that you live per capita, and even if it's a little more than that place, there's a choice. There's a choice to of knowing that, and that's where a lot of people talk about like the shadow work and all that. And I really hear a lot of spiritual people when they talk about those things, but even not intentionally having that, just your desire, imitating your destiny. Is always. You want to look at that. That's huge. That's the choices that you have. I feel like that's it, I think, And I guess that's where abortion comes in. It's all about the choices.
Yes.
It's not the choices that you do have. It's kind of the choices that you don't have.
Yes. And I think now that that's not a choice for people in Missouri, like it's not fair. So there will always be a fight. And it is a reproductive justice issue, which is a little bit different than reproductive rights because reproductive justice focuses on the intersectionality of those issues. So I cannot have another baby because I have 5 kids and I'm only working part time and I keep trying to put in applications and I can't get picked up anywhere and I can't afford it right now. It would be irresponsible.
Right.
So that is a choice that somebody has to make. That is a reproductive justice issue because the fact that this person cannot become gainfully employed, the fact that this person cannot make a choice for their lives that is the best for their living situations, the fact that if this person has to now take off work and travel out of state someplace else, what's going to happen with them 5 kids? Who's going to take care of the 5 kids that they already have when this needs to happen? These are all issues that run intersectional to each other. And if you notice, I didn't say nothing about nobody's race.
Right.
Because this is an issue that can befall any person.
Right, it's unilateral for sure.
So I think this is why it is so important. And I think that it should be a nonpartisan issue. Like it's not, oh, I'm a Democrat or a Republican. It is people need to be able to make the decisions for their lives.
Right, straight up. You know, like I said, as a man, maybe I'm selfish, but I'm just so I'm such a have a personal stance on it. Of just I can't tell you what I agree with and what I don't, but I'll just tell you every child that I've been presented with, I have birthed. So, thank God, for blessing me with the ability and being able to complete that journey with my children. I mean, it just kind of is what it is. The world that we live in is many issues. That's why I talked about Herschel Walker.
Yeah.
The thing with Herschel Walker, here's my thing. Maybe that one thing is enough for him. That's what his campaign ran on, and that's what it died on.
Yeah.
Excuse me. If he didn't have that issue, he maybe would have took that seat. I think without that issue, he takes the seat. I mean, it's that important to sway people in that way. It's frontline.
Yeah, like because anybody knows that could be them. Because a lot of times we think of it as like this serial abortion receiver that's like using it as a contraceptive, and it's just like they try to vilify it and build it up like these is why we have to take this away because it's these people and they're killing babies and all that. And like a lot of times most people can, if they find out early enough, can medically terminate or medicinally terminate a pregnancy. It's where you take a pill and there you go. Oh, your period was a little bit late. You caught it in time.
Well, I mean, that's kind of not the not knowing, right? It's like what comes first, the chicken or the egg? It's like does conception equal a soul? Does conception equal a being, a person, a spirit, a light, whatever your terminology is? And I think the Plan B is a cold thing. And I think if crack dealers in the 80s had the Plan B, Freaknik 96 had the Plan B. A lot of y'all niggas wouldn't be here right now.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. But it's the truth. It existed. If Uncle Luke video shoots had Plan Bs, Lord, I wish the best.
Did you ever see the picture of little Kim doing the interview and they was having sex in the background?
No.
And it was
it was like a meme. Like it was just like
it was with Luke.
It was so regular. Like it's like we're talking and then like say somebody's back there and they just fucking like
it was like
it was just like and they just like the fuck.
And Luke was still doing her interview as focused on Luke.
Yeah,
because Luke was the one giving the interview, I think. Yeah, but if she had the focus behind her, some people fucking. It's like okay.
Hey, Lil Kim is a wild. Lil Kim is wild. Like,
wow.
Lil Kim is wild, and shout out to Lil Kim. She's like unbreakable in my opinion. Lil Kim is a boss, man. You gotta give it up for
Another
Kim.
thing, Little Kim is my cardology twin. She's a 4 diamond. We're both a 4 diamond. So astrology twins with Nicki Minaj and cardology twins with Lil Kim. You can't tell me I ain't supposed to be great.
Y'all know who my favorite? You know who my favorite is out of all of these women? Though, Cardi B. You know, Serenity. You know I love Cardi B.
Cardi's funny. She's very.
Cardi B is dead ass serious. Well, Cardi B is like dead ass serious. You mean serious like her topics? Everything about Cardi B is dead ass serious.
Okay.
I
don't think Cardi B is not a fabrication.
Oh, okay. I see what
the image of who
That's
Cardi
fair.
B is, maybe it's dated. Maybe it ain't who she is today. But, and you know, another thing about Cardi B is if you know anything about New York and you come from the Bronx and you was Puerto Rican.
Did you spend some time in New York?
Yeah, I lived out there. I lived out there for 2 months.
I thought you were just there.
I was out there for 9 weeks. I consider that living.
Yeah.
I was away for 9 weeks, shit, you know. But here's the thing. I had battled out there before, so I had some connections. I had to look for no herb or nothing.
Right.
But, you know, recreational, it was wrecked there. It wasn't being sold that way, but, you know, New York is a cold place, man.
Yeah.
It ain't hard to get no bud in New York, say less. Yeah. But, you know, I know about the Bronx, and that's a hard place to make it from, excuse me. It's one of the hardest places in America to make it from. If you was born, it's like saying you born in Oakland, you know.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of the roughest, Memphis. These some rough places for black folks, for all folks.
I was out in Oakland for the National Poetry Slam. Like that was the year, it was there the year I became the first black woman to make it on the Last Chance Slam team in 2014. But yeah, Oakland is a wild motherfucker. Like,
yeah, you don't got no Oakland.
Look, I saw a man get his ass whooped in the middle of the day. Like, just piece the fuck up.
Woo. Yeah.
And that was that.
I seen that in KC though. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
no, I'm just talking. Shout out to Oakland.
Shit is hood shit.
Oakland's a wild place.
It don't matter what the area code is, the dress code. God damn it, hood shit is hood shit. And so I can agree with you. I think as far as your Cardi B statement, I think a part of what really endeared her to a lot of listeners is her authenticity. Like, we wanted to see ourselves make it in that sort of way. Like, we wanted to see, like, what would a hood bitch do if a hood bitch could, you know what I'm saying?
That's what I like.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's why I like Cardi B.
She did that. She showed up. She like, you know, I can't help it that I'm rich, but I'm hood as fuck. Like that's why people was flocking to.
Hernandez is what Cardi. Like no, Cardi is what Jocelyn Hernandez wish she could be. That's what it was.
No, I think Jocelyn really kind of cut the slit for Puerto Rico. Cause here's my thing. I'm gonna keep it real about Jocelyn Hernandez.
I love me some Jocelyn.
It's her tone of voice that can be intimidating a little bit. It's down there. Her tone of voice is kind of husky.
But then it works for Glorilla.
It does.
I'm not a fan of Glorilla per se of the voice. I like what she says.
Oh, okay.
I don't think for me it's not really the voice. I think a lot of y'all don't like her because maybe the voice makes you ingest it better. But it's the words.
I haven't seen any interviews of her talking regular, but they say supposedly she's lowering her voice when she raps. That's not actually how she sounds.
I don't think that's true because listen to her name, Glorilla. That's like a hood ass name that people probably call her and tormented her with, and she didn't turn the negative to a positive.
Her real name. It's like her real name is Gloria Hallelujah something.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, she's cool. You know, she's hilarious to me. I just think in rap music, you get a chance to be what you want to be, and you know, your art is your art, and. You know, y'all asked me about leaving battle rap, and it's just about your contribution. You know, and that's you. So for Glorilla, I enjoy her lyrics. I like, you know, maybe not today, maybe tomorrow. You know, she's different. That's what hip hop is. Also, too, I'm a 36-year-old man. My opinion don't matter about no damn hip hop. If y'all shaking your ass to some Glorilla, go ahead. Don't let me be the person. You know.
At the red lights, working on them headlights. Hey, look, that is my niece, right? So I can't be sisters with her because I'm definitely auntie aged, right?
Man,
but I'm rooting for her. I root for her. I root for Krishan Rock. I root for all of these younger women because I've been that type of younger woman. And still sit before you as successful as I motherfucking want to be, as historic as I motherfucking want to be. Literally, that ain't even no fucking hyperbole. And that, I wasn't even meaning to do that shit. Goddamn.
Yeah, drop the freestyle. Here we go.
You know, but seriously, that is an example of when the person from this disadvantaged background is this fucked up traumatic situation on top of some and some more. Like, people love an underdog story. I think that's even a part of what toppled Nikki is because she started to lose relatability.
I think Nikki just got too spiteful and jealous, and she wasn't willing to share her toys with everybody else. And I think the fans, that energy, man, energy is so huge. I don't even listen to like rap no more. Like I've been listening. One rap song I'm gonna definitely listen to for my whole life is Project Pat, Whole Lot of Weed. Y'all might not know about that, but usually in the morning I might.
The artist, aka the Prophet Project.
Well, okay, well, I'm gonna listen to that in the morning while I may be getting myself together. You know, real players like the smoker. You don't know about that. So anyway, I listen to that, but then I usually get to this rotation of Afrobeat or reggaeton. And I've been kind of really like on Bad Bunny or like on some Wizkid or some Burna Boy or Teams. I've been listening to all that kind of shit. I don't even understand like half of the words, especially in the reggaeton. I don't even understand what the fuck they're saying. But I just, in them bread there, okay, this shit feel good right here. I'm just gonna rock with this because this shit turned up. You change your voice, I'm listening. You know, I don't know nothing about none of that shit, but it's a vibe. Quick vibe, you know.
Turn that shit on. You need to clean, scrub the floor.
Yeah, I'm
clean the wall.
And Bad Bunny's not even like that. It's just got a vibe. It's just a vibe. It's an up tempo vibe. It feels good to the ears. It's not really giving me a message because I don't know what the hell. San Antonio, okay, I heard that, but I got this one thing in the lyrics. Take a selfie. You know, I understand broken parts of this, but, that's what I listen to, and it's because I'm really conscious right now about what I ingest.
No, that's very real. That is so very real. Like, I'm very much a playlist for every like type person. So I have like a vibes playlist or like a big pixie energy playlist like on my Spotify, and like they have like it's different like tonalities blended through. It is like songs that are like mantras. It's like positive hip hop, like, and not even necessarily like conscious like artists, like not a comment or anything like that, but like Londrell, like for example, is like one. I think that's actually my top artist on Spotify for my 2022 raps. But like I just really I dig what you're saying. Like I resonate with that. Like what you listen to, what you absorb into your spirit. Like it's Tony Jones is another artist. I love them. Um, Goodness, I need to think of these people's names because like I really feel like they need to be like highlighted because you still are getting your beats that you want to move and dance to, but like the message is so positive. Like it's this one song that I love like playing in the morning. It's like, sis, you's a bad bitch, and it's like even when you don't feel it, you still the bad this. But it's just like the beat to it is like, oh, okay, you want to get up and dance, but it's like when you're listening to like the actual lyrics, like it's empowering, it's encouraging. It's like accept yourself, be who you are, and so like really
Affirmation
listening
music.
to that. Yes, affirmation music. Exactly. Thank you so much for that word.
Yeah, I'm a
The
paper
affirmation.
chaser. I got the block on
Yes,
fire.
right.
Remain in the G to the moment I
Like,
expire.
and that is a hood affirmation, period.
You know how it is to
Juvenile
make something
said
out of
it.
nothing?
No,
You know?
she got me
Can we
on
cry or
listening to
Hey, paper, you know I want you. I follow you to New York, to California.